everybody, I've got a fun little video for you today. I'm gonna make a 31-day journal, and this time instead of using my printables, I'm gonna be using just stuff from scratch and scrapbook paper, you know, old-fashioned scrapbooking instead of hybrid stuff, because I've been so addicted to doing hybrid stuff lately that that's all I've been doing videos on. So I'm gonna do a 31-day journal this month. I'm gonna try my best to do a video every day on a page in this journal. So I started off by doing some vanilla cardstock, and I did the Coptic stitch. If you don't know how to do the Coptic stitch, you can search on my channel. I do have a tutorial on the Coptic stitch, or you can just search on YouTube Coptic stitch. I'm sure there's plenty of other videos that show you how to do that binding. I definitely did not create that. So I did that, and I did it on torn pages that measured, what was it? 4 by 11, I think, or 4 by 10. And then I just tore all the edges and I binded it all together. So there's, I think, 64 pages in here. So I have room for 30 spreads like this. I could do both sides. So I'm gonna do a spread every day this month of my kids. I'm gonna use my little Fine Pix, or what is it, my little Fuji Polaroid type camera. So what I did is I prepped some chipboard, and I'm double layering my chipboard on this book. So I've got these two pieces here, and all I did was I inked the edges with some Timber Brown Stays-On ink, and then I covered it with matte medium. And I use the matte multi-medium by Claudine Helmuth. I love that stuff. So I coated it with that to make it a little waterproof, and then I cut a second piece of chipboard slightly smaller, and you'll notice that even my edges are really funky and not even, because I wanted my book to look a little bit grungy. So this top layer I'm going to glue down to here just like that. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to use my mixed media glue by Chemist Corp, and it's kind of crusted over here. I never put the lids back on anymore because I'm lazy sometimes. So this one, I inked the edges with the Timber Brown Stays-On ink, and then I glimmer misted it with frayed burlap glimmer mist. So I'm putting my glue fairly close to the edges. I want to glue this baby down for good. Alright, so that should be plenty. And then I'm just going to set it down unevenly in the middle, just like this. And we've got a little bit of background noise today because I have the kids in the studio with me today. And I did get a complaint a while back about the echo in the studio when I do videos. Something I just can't help, so hopefully you guys can still hear me clearly and it's not that big a deal. Because that'll just never go away, unfortunately. All right, so that's glued down pretty good there. And then now I'm gonna take some pattern paper, and I love this pattern paper. It's designed by Rana Ferrer for my mind's eye, and I think it's called Find Your Wings and Fly. So yeah, that's what it's called. So see, it's got a bunch of really fun papers. So I'm gonna use these papers for probably the whole journal. And this was actually the paper pad that came in the Artsy Addicts monthly kit club for May, I believe, and it came with a bunch of other fun little goodies. So I'm going to use that kit for this project. So I'm going to glue this paper down, and originally I tore out this patterned paper, and then it didn't go all the way to the edge like I wanted it to, so I'm going to glue another piece on the edge just to make it go closer to the edge. And all I have to do is, when I glue it down, is match up the pattern a little bit. The air conditioner just kicked on, so that's probably what you're hearing right now. So I'm going to glue this piece down first, and I'm going to use the matte medium to glue this down. And I always like to use matte medium when gluing my paper down because it just makes it nice and evenly glued down. Plus I coat it with the matte medium as well after the fact, so it's totally sealed to my chipboard and it looks like it's all one piece. And since I'm super messy and my kids like to handle a lot of my projects, this matte medium really saves my projects because it kind of acts like it's waterproof, so if they get like sticky fingers on there or something nasty on there, you can just wipe it off with the rag and water, which is cool. Alright, so I've got this pretty well coated onto the back here, and then I'm just going to stick it right onto my chipboard. You could slide it around a little bit, and it's okay if it oozes out the edges because you're going to put a coat over this again anyway. And then I've got another little piece here that I'm going to coat the back. And this is the piece that I'm going to add, and I'm going to match up my pattern a little bit. so it looks like it's one piece of paper. So I'm going to start on the bottom edge. I'm going to line up the pattern as best as I can and kind of just rock it and slide it until I get it right where I need it so that you could barely see the transition. And chances are you're probably going to still see it, but not a big deal. All right, so once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to coat the entire thing with some matte medium, and that gives it, it's supposed to be matte, and it is, but if you do it thick enough, you can get a little bit of a smooth shine on there, which is what I like. So I'm coating the whole thing, and so this paper is just never going to come up off this chipboard ever again. It is part of the chipboard now. So I do a pretty thick coat. All right, and then I also painted a little typewriter die cut from Tim Holtz, and I don't really like how I put the gray on the top, but I think it turned out okay, and I'm going to cover up quite a bit of that, and I may do a little bit of stamping. And so I painted that, and I used some folk art paint by Plaid, and this color is, what is it? I have no idea. It should say somewhere, maybe. I don't know. It doesn't say. Well, it's this color. Sorry. So I painted my chipboard piece with that color. I inked the edges with some black StazOn, and then I coated the whole thing with the matte medium once again. And then I'm going to glue that right down there. So I'm going to go ahead and dry this up and glue that typewriter down, and then I'll be back in the next clip. Alrighty, so if I forgot to mention, I'm actually working on the cover of my book now. So this is what it's looking like. Glued that down with the Canvas Corp Mixed Media Glue, which is awesome. And now I'm going to embellish a little bit, and like I said, this is going to be my cover, so when I end up gluing this on, I'll ink the back a little bit, and then it gets glued onto the first page of my book, and it'll end up looking like that. So kind of fun, but I'm going to ink those edges as I work on it later on that paper so it kind of matches, because right now they're really clean looking. So I'm going to go ahead and embellish this, and I'm going to use this really fun filigree. You can get these just about anywhere, eBay, Etsy. They're just fun antique metal filigrees. So I'm going to glue this right here, and I know that my center of this is going to get covered up, and by the way, the mixed media glue works on metals too. So I know I'm going to cover up the center, so I'm putting my glue on the center, and it's going to overlap the side of my little typewriter right there. And then I'm going to go ahead and take one of a little vintage trinket from my vintage trinkets line with Prima a while back, but these were just inspired by old jewelry, so you could still find these pieces just about anywhere since the vintage trinkets line's not available either. So I'm going to glue that guy down right in the middle here. All right, and then I've got this really fun button from the craft store. It's a little gem button, and it's got the little loop in the back. Now, you can try cutting that loop off. It's just plastic. I'm going to try, because I think I can get it off, or most of it off at least. That way it lays flat in my flower. But if you can't get it off, you could just use hot glue and have it have a little bit of dimension. So because this is plastic, see how easy that cut off? So I'm going to use hot glue, and you can use a hot glue gun with metal if it's really porous, because the hot glue is going to seep underneath the metals, and it's still going to hold your pieces on. But I'm actually not going to use it because I don't think I need to use it. I'm just going to use the mixed media glue because that works great with metal. Just beware that if you're using this mixed media glue on gem stuff, it may eat away at the backing of the gem, so hot glue might be a good option. But I think this foil backing is thick enough to where it won't do that. So I'm going to stick it right in the middle of my flower, just like that. And I'm just going to slide my trinkets over a tad bit. So I've got something like this now, and I think I may add a little something later, but I'm just not sure what I want to add to this. So I'm going to go ahead and let this dry. In the meantime, I'm going to ink my edges just by spraying this all these edges with glimmer mist, just like this. So pick out a color glimmer mist that you like if you're going to try this. If not, then don't worry about it. Another thing that you could do if you're going to use your fronts and you don't want it to seep into your pages is you could take 2 pieces of chipboard and kind of sandwich it in between those 2 pieces like this, and then spray the edges. So that's just a little tip. Or you could just work page by page as you're doing your 31-day journal and ink your edges of your pages as you go. That's another easy way to get it done. But if you want it all to look uniform right away, you can just go ahead and spray your edges. So I'll be back in the next clip. Okay, so I added a couple little things to my cover, and ideally I should have stamped this stamp before I put that flower down, but it was kind of an afterthought. So I used the stamp set by Rana again from that kit, and it's this one that says Always Face the Sun, and I really, really like it. So I thought that would be a cool title since this is going to be kind of a summer book of June. So it says Always Face the Sun. I didn't, the stamp was great, but this was more of human error, and I kind of missed a spot, so I had to fix it a little bit. And then I just wrote Summer 2013, really tiny down at the bottom, because I didn't want too big of a title on the cover. And then I just added this little metal piece I shoved in between my sandwiched chipboards, and then a little butterfly. So now I'm ready to glue my cover on to the front, and I actually, I got a little bit lazy and I decided that I wasn't going to ink my edges yet, and I'm just going to do it day by day as we go. So I'm just going to glue this on, then we'll figure that out later. So what you're going to do to glue this on is you're going to glue it to the first page of your signatures. So you want to make sure that you're applying the glue to that page and not the chipboard piece, because the chipboard, at least in my case, the chipboard is bigger than the actual pages, but in some areas because it's cut very unevenly to look a little grungy. So I'm not going all the way up to the edges, but pretty close, because once I smash this down, it should spread out to the edges, but I'm getting a good amount of glue on the insides. And then now, I'm just going to stick my cover on there. And once I stick it down the first time I set it down, I'm going to go ahead and open it up and slide it around. And then I'm going to close it back up and make sure that it is right where I want it to be, which is right about there. So once you've done that, you can go ahead and press it down the rest of the way, because that's where it's going to be permanently. And there you go. There's your front cover. And I'm going to do the same thing on the back with just a plain brown piece of chipboard, which is right here, but I think I might end up writing something on there, so I'm not going to ink the center. I'm going to add some pattern paper probably once I decide which pattern I want to use. So I'm going to do the same thing on the back. I'm just going to add glue to the back paper. Just like this. And a good amount all in the middle. You don't want this coming off. Right about there. I'm going to add my piece of chipboard, open it up and kind of slide it around, make sure it's nice and straight. And then once more in the front, and then smash it down. All right, so I've got my covers on now, and I'm just checking my binding to make sure my covers aren't a little warped, which they are slightly, so it's a good thing to hold that down until the glue is totally tacked. But that's what the side looks like, that's what the back looks like, and I'm going to add something on the back later when I decide what I want to put on there. So there's my mini book, really, really simple. And once you junk this up, I'm going to look at my drawer here. Once you start, oh, there's Beckham tantruming, I think. So once you start working on this, you can add all kinds of fun little stuff, like fun paper clips, like daily things. What I do is I love these paper clips, and I can't remember where I found them, but how cool would it be just to write something in there and keep it there all the time, or clip on a little journaling card. But you can add so many fun little things. I've got some old Tattered Angels transparency pieces that you could do some fun stuff with. I like to take everything I think I might use in the book and set it aside. I've got the rest of May's kit here that I'm going to use in the book later, and you've got these Tim Holtz clips that are just great. So it'll be fun. Check back tomorrow to see what I do for my first page. Or actually, I'm supposed to do my first page today because I just did my covers. So maybe I'll just continue this video and I'll do my first page for June 1st. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now, and you'll get to see some goodies in the next clip, hopefully. Thanks. All right, so I've gone ahead and picked out a paper that I want to use from 6x6 pads. 6x6 pads are perfect for mini books. And it's this one with these cute little hot air balloons. I love hot air balloons. And I already inked my edges, and this inked edge is a little darker than I originally wanted, but that's okay. So it's going to go on there just like that, but you can see there's still a wide edge on there since I didn't tear it completely to cover the paper. So I'm going to make a little bit of a background, and I'm going to use the 7 Gypsies stamp. It's this polka dot stamp, or the Swiss dot stamp that I really, really like. And I've got some green chalk ink. So I'm going to ink up my stamp here. I'm going to get it nice and juicy. And then I'm just going to stamp that background, but before I do that, since my edges are uneven, I'm going to stick a piece of paper onto the back so that I don't stamp on my inside. I skipped a page on the inside because I'm going to do a little intro to my book on that area. And I only have to really worry about the edges, and I'm not trying to get perfect dots. And I love this stamp because you can do so many things with it. And I'm going to show you how to make some really fun backgrounds with this stamp later on. So I'm just getting my edges here. And see, I'm not being too careful, I'm not trying to get a perfect square pattern on there. And then I'm gonna go ahead and glue my paper down. These pads are double-sided, so really cool. Love double-sided 6x6 papers. All right, good amount of glue, and I'm still using that same old mixed media glue because you can use it on any surface. So that kind of just filled up my edges a little bit, which I really, really like. All right, so you can see my paper sticks out a little bit, but it's totally okay because they are double-sided pattern papers, so if it shows a little bit on some of the edges of your pages, it'll just add a cute little accent. So once I take my picture, my daily picture for today, like I said, I'm using my little Polaroid camera. It's not really a Polaroid camera, it's a Fuji something. I've had it for a really long time now, and I want to start using it some more. So I'm going to put a picture right there, and then I'll journal over here. So I like these little Polaroid pictures because they fit perfectly for mini books. So that's what I'm going to do. So there's my first page, and I'm sure I'll put some fun titles on there once I figure out what picture is going to go on there. And I've got all this fun stuff to use. But one thing I really want to show you are these stickers that come with this collection. I know, I feel like I'm promoting this collection a lot for some reason. But I like it because it goes really well with the theme for summer. So it comes with all these fun little stickers, so I'm sure I'll do a lot of my titles with that. But what I like to do is I like to kind of put a box together when I'm doing a 31-day journal, and I'll stick all the little things that I think I'm going to use in that book in that box. So that's what I do. So I have it all in one place, and it all matches, and I can just use it as I go. And one thing I really want to show you, I'm going to do a tutorial on later, is not Glimmer Mist, but Tattered Angels stained glass is really, really cool. It's how I made this butterfly here, and this is not what this product is meant to do, but it does it, and it's really cool. So this is what it looks like. It's called stained glass, and what I like to do with it is I pour it into molds, and I let it set overnight, and then I'll pour again if I want it to be thicker, and let it set again overnight. It doesn't really take overnight. It probably takes a whole day to dry completely, and then you get these really cool, they almost look like resin pieces, and they shrink a little bit from the mold, which makes it easy for them to pop out. But what's cool about these is I love playing with resin, but resin stinks really, really bad unless you're using Little Windows resin. So this stuff is perfect for this because it's non-toxic and it doesn't smell. So I made this fun little butterfly. So I think I'm going to try to use this little butterfly on this page somewhere along the way. I'm just going to use this picture as an example. So how cute would that be with a little date stamp there and some layering, maybe a little doily or something cool like that. So hopefully I'll get this page done, and then in tomorrow's video you can see what I did with this page and then do some new stuff with me on my next page for June 2nd. So thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you will stop in again tomorrow and see what I'm doing, and the next day, since I'm going to try and do this every day. It's really, really hard for me because I have 3 small children and I'm doing crazy stuff all the time, but I'm going to try to do a video every day this month. So maybe one of you would like to join me and do a 31-day journal again. They're always a lot of fun. But once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.